All right, so this is our ALC meeting. We are going to start with some announcements. I feel like this is slow. Some announcements today, but we're going to start with bucket fills and something good. So who wants to start?
I'll take the easy one, Red Day. Thank you for all of those of you that participated last week. It had its ups and a few little downs. That was a team bonding, nothing people related, process related, but we got through it. We had a good time. So thank you guys for jumping in, but I really enjoyed it. So.
And I would say, in addition to that, I experienced something that I thought was pretty amazing. And there's serious girl power in this office. It was like 3 guys and like 15 ladies putting together these big tables and stuff, and it just all got done. It was amazing. I was looked around, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to town. Everybody was working super hard.
Yeah, it was challenging, and there were some things that had to be like overcome, and yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of new realtors there, which is great.
Yeah, it was good.
I also want to bucket fill that. I mean, obviously I see it came in the office all the time, but I felt like the last like 2 hours we were working hard together to put together some things, and it's just nice to do other stuff besides real estate work and kind of learn how each other work when we're in frustrating situations.
Grinding in a different way, right?
Yeah, and like the personality types and having like real conversations about life and joking is fun. It's fun to get to know people in that setting versus just always in the work setting. Yeah, it was a good time. All right. Who else?
Slide about it, so I
You
just
did have a slide about it.
Oh.
Does it have all the things on it, like all of the.
This is a slide right here, Kimmy, behind you.
Okay,
So
so
completed projects.
so if you weren't at Red Day, it was like a ton of mulch, 2 gigantic like piles of mulch that we had a 3-hour time period allotted in the morning, by the way, and the first one was done in less than an hour. The second one I think was done in less than like 35 minutes, and we sat there because we're like, what else you got for us? Like, which is really cool because I think when anyone volunteers, they think that people are going to come there and not get a lot done, right? And the work ethic of the groups that were there, I think probably blew them away in regards to like, oh man, we could have done maybe not more furniture, but we could have done a heck of a lot
They
more
piled
in
it
the
on the
landscaping piece. And then we ended up putting together like 25 Adirondack chairs, and then 9 table chair sets
Too many.
that were interesting. So landscape forms, don't ever order from there. That's just a PSA for all. All right, what else is good? Our bucket fills. Paigey.
I would like to bucket fill you for all challenging me to grow, not just by through my business, but also personally, and not giving up on me. So I'm a hard person headed guy, and I know I can be difficult, but you're challenging me, and I appreciate that.
It's enjoyable. Challenge was accepted, and it's great meeting you. Who else?
I'll bucket fill Maddie. So as we've, even just in the last few months, but as we've both in her businesses, she's doing some great hard work, but from a PC standpoint, I've just appreciated as we've made changes and updates and do things, she always takes them in stride, takes them with enthusiasm, jumps in head on, willing to offer feedback and insight. So I just appreciate the enthusiasm amongst the group. I really do appreciate it. It's been awesome. So, and it shows. So thank you. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I have a few. One, Derek, I was looking at investment property, and Derek ran through it and looked at it for me and gave me another set of eyes. I was in Michigan and needed someone I know, like, and trust to refer, and Jelena stepped up and was willing to do that. I have property that Jelena actually showed that I wasn't sure how to do everything, and struggle in multiple ways. I've been trying to get something in Delano, which we did, but Strobel has been a amazing help throughout the time. He beat me out on an offer, which first happened, but then he was I call him a jerk and all those other names, but then he's just been such a help in that way. So those three especially, thank you for all that.
Awesome, and awesome that the agents are able to help each other and support each other, and it's just so nice to see.
Anyone else?
I have a quick one for someone who won't ever say it herself, but Sherry Welly listed that cabin on Cross Lake for $1.5 million and sold it the day. For
That is
over $1.5 million, plus 150 grand in personal property outside the transaction.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah, on her own.
Nice work. Nice work.
Okay,
I just gotta say, Jim as well, I called him multiple times to say, hey, can I get away with this? And
I feel like you just don't lead with that, but.
and he said, well, do this, and so thanks, Jim, for answering. And this is how his calls has been. Hey, Kevin, what do you need? So I appreciate that.
What do you want to get away with today, Kevin?
okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a bucket fill,
You
but
have
this
what do you have?
is how I'm feeling. I'm just saying. But anyway, so I just wanted to say a big,
Face up quick.
what's that?
Hold on. You can start over.
Oh, I just was saying this is kind of how I'm feeling. But anyway, I wanted to just say a big thank you to everybody because we did our closing on my in-laws' house yesterday, and I just did not even realize just really the emotional thing that it would take. And I just appreciated just people reaching out and just along that whole journey, because it was a big journey. And so that closed yesterday. So like my husband said, it was the closing of one era and it's the beginning of another era that we're excited for our family. So thank you all.
What's his name?
That's awesome. And you know, I don't think if you saw everyone in the room right now and the smile that they have on their face because of what you have, is that an actual thing on your head or is it like a filter?
I don't know. I must have really bad connection going on here. I don't know if you heard any of that, but a big thank you to everybody.
What is going on with the gorilla Sasquatch?
Well, you know, we are always looking for him and sometimes he shows up in our house. But yeah, no, it's just because he probably looks better than I feel like I look right now. So it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, Terry. All right. Anybody else have any things good?
Yeah, sorry, I think my Wi-Fi's bad, but anyway, thank you guys.
It's great. Great.
All right, let's go back to the slides. I think we have a few slides before we start the ALC portion. Correct, Katie? Okay, so upcoming events, this Thursday, so tomorrow, all of the team leaders of the 5 market centers are going, I guess maybe just the 4 right now, but market centers will be doing all day lead gen tomorrow. So we will all be in this particular room. So in our training room, starting at 9 o'clock until 4. We have invited any agents that are wanting to participate in this. You can be in your offices, you can come in here. You can be in any of the other spaces, but you can lead gen with the leadership teams as well. You can do it for a short period of time, or you can do it all day from 9 to 4 with us. So I'm really excited to see you guys there for at least some period of that time. And it also gives you an opportunity to maybe listen in on what our scripts are when we're talking to agents and listen to the calls that we do, because sometimes I think, you know, it's similar to your calls to clients or to, you know, homeowners or buyers. It's just a little bit different like take on it. So anyone committed to that at least for a few hours yet tomorrow? Awesome. I'm really excited. We'll have some snacks out too. And then let me know if you have any questions prior to that. the luxury luncheon. You will also have lunch when you go to the luxury luncheon. It is, do you want to tell some details about the property, Rick? You're probably better than I am at that piece of it.
Sure, just went on the market. One cool thing, we're gonna have the lady who staged it there as a guest speaker, and she staged the entire house for 25 grand. It's a big deal. We took every piece of furniture out. It's 10,000 square feet. Here's the cool thing. It's 10,000 square feet or 9,890 square feet. It's listed at 2.8. The next door neighbor just listed their house at 10,020 square feet for 4.5. So, they're in trouble. Yeah, we're not. So hopefully we get her sold quick, but the luncheon, we've already spent over $400 on food. So it's gonna be nice. And it's a super awesome. It is exactly, I just mapped it, 20 minutes from here. So
Awesome.
it's a 20-minute drive. It's worth your time. You'll learn a lot there.
And it is 12 to 1:30.
12 o'clock to 1:30.
Awesome.
Is that address 9991?
It is 9991 Bell Road. Yep.
Perfect. All right, we have a mega agent interview. That is Thursday, May 19th. It is going to be facilitated by Perry Hearn, so it's going to be in the Edina Market Center, 1 to 2 o'clock on that day. And then we also have Minneapolis 2040 permitting, zoning, and APUs. That just looks weird when I was like August. On Tuesday, May 24th, and that again will be at 1 p.m. and it's at KW Lake or via Zoom. So if you're doing any business in areas, there's been a lot of changes in the past few years on zoning. That would be well worth your time just to go get some nuggets from that.
Joe Carmack is awesome. In case you're wondering, Joe Carmack is awesome on that mega.
Yeah, there'll be some interesting things from that.
Yeah, and a great agent. So. And we should maybe remind everyone that our trainings are changing time on June 1st.
Yes. So our trainings are changing times on June 1st and they are going to 11 o'clock instead. So right after your lead gen, it's going to be right into some sort of training on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're doing this because the time frame might be the reason there isn't a lot of attendance. So we're going to try to shift that. So you'll be in the office and then you can go either in here and watch it, or you can go to whichever facility that it's at, or whatever office it's actually at. So hopefully that this allows you a better availability to go to those trainings.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, 11 a.m.
Yep.
Nice for the both.
Across the board.
Yep, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Everything's always on Zoom also, so.
Yep. Mega Camp. Who has signed up for Mega Camp so far? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so Mega Camp is August 23rd and 24th. I would love to see at least 15 of us going there this year. There's going to be some really, really great information. Heather went to the Mega Leadership and it was absolutely revamped with some amazing information. And they've done the same thing with Mega Camp as it went from virtual to a brand new in-person experience. If you've never been there before, I mean, there are so many things that are great about it. One, networking with other agents across the country, networking with the people that are in your office in a different setting. 2, you're listening to people that have done really, really big things, whether or not they're individual agents, whether or not they do luxury, whether or not they do commercial, or they're on teams. They're not allowed on that stage without proving their numbers as well as their profit and loss. So it's not like, hey, I did all these big numbers and I have nothing to show for it. So there's some really great nuggets to take from that. Anyone that's been or that's going want to make a plug for Mega Camp.
I have an Airbnb. If you want to use that, that will help. One of the things that I get is how much money do you spend on different things, right? And so we can make that super affordable. The hotels are usually one of the big costs. I think not only are they doing big things, but this is what I learned about Mega Camp. Walk with 1 or 2 things that you are going to implement. Walk away with 1 or 2 things that you're going to implement. And I've always had something when I went to Mega Camp that way that had a significant piece. If you thought the culture was great when we were doing Red Day, imagine that happening over 3 days You see people tired, you see people energized, it's just an awesome thing. If we get 15 people going to Mayo Camp and then we come back, it will have a significant impact on our market center throughout. So I encourage everyone to go.
It brings a different energy to you when you go and you come back, right? So it's going to be kind of at that end of summer where you're like, oh man. And then you go and it like revives you, I feel like. And then you come in and you're going into that fall season, which is essentially setting up your business for late this year as well as January, February. You just kind of start rolling with lead gen again and setting yourself up for success for the following year. Awesome. All right, on to the ALC. Selena's like, awesome, we don't have much time to talk about the book. Do I hear a motion to start the May ALC meeting? Do I hear something? Okay, so we are reading the book B 2.0. We do a chapter a month. We are on chapter 5. And I just want, it talked a little bit about almost like consistency, right? Luck versus consistency, and how each day there's a new journey, right? It's kind of this uphill until you make it, and then you usually change it. So if you were to take one aha out of that chapter, how it pertains to your business or moving forward, especially as we're coming through almost like mid-year next month, what would that be?
So this chapter was about luck comes to those who are persistent, and it's not a random, people don't randomly get lucky. It's for people who kind of work hard and it happens, at least long-term luck. And so I think the takeaway that I took was, especially looking at last year's numbers and my year last year, is the actions that I did created that. And it seemed like things kind of came from nowhere, but it was the work that I did that generated that, and then kind of things fell in place. So that's my takeaway, is being consistent and persistent.
And at the time you thought, like, I guess go back to that. So at the time you thought it was like, oh, these people are just coming in, but really it was the consistency of lead gen or whatever your form of lead gen was. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay. How is that different than this year?
Well, I think that after a busy year last year, I kind of took the brakes off, as we've talked about, or I put on the brakes, sorry. And all through the fall, and it was a slow quarter one, and things are kind of ramping up now, but certainly it was reflective of what I did and how consistent I was last quarter of last year.
And there was also an element of, I'm sure most people or some people do experience an element of luck, but it's also like what you do, right? Like capitalize on it versus just kind of letting it be a one-time thing. So kind of at that same token, it's like, oh, I discovered this thing that worked really well for me. I'm going to keep doing it versus like letting it be that, one-time thing. For example, like doing an open house, like, oh, I did really well at that. I'm just going to take these, 6 weeks that I got and run with it. Like, no, I'm going to keep doing open house that lucky.
Well, and with that, that example is perfect because one, you can now make that part of your system is doing open houses for lead gen, but then those 6 people, what are you going to do with those? You can get 6 more people from them and then 6 more people from them, right? So even if someone's lucky, even if you're like, oh my gosh, I just happened to get this buyer that was $1 million cash buyer, what are you going to do with just that one? Because that's not one transaction. That can turn into so many opportunities if you are strategic with it, right? And it could have been one lucky introduction, one lucky open, one lucky random call, whatever it is, but it can flow into so much more.
Well, listings came to mind for me, marketing around a listing and actually capitalizing on a listing versus just letting it happen and then moving on with the rest of your life, actually making more out of that transaction.
I think that's a good point too, is because everyone lately, we went to multiple listing panels where, they sell right away. 100% of them sell right away. And I would say the people that are really successful at listing properties do something besides just letting it sell right away. They are letting the neighborhood know, they're letting their network know, they're letting social media know. They're getting some sort of other lead from that listing, right? It's not just like, oh, cool, I got this, it's sold. There's a system in place for that. Royce, how about for you?
Same, I would, I'm along the lines of Jolene. Last year I kind of had a down year because the year prior to that I had a really good year and I took my foot off the gas pedal, wasn't consistent with my lead gen, and as a result of that I had a very so-so year last year. But towards the end of last quarter, I should say the last 2 quarters, I was just owning the phones, getting back to my consistent lead gen, and now this quarter, the first quarter has been really awesome for me. So just you gotta be consistent.
Well, I think even last month you had that big listing and you were like, yeah, it's just really lucky or something like
Well,
that.
that
You even
one-
said that.
That one actually was, I've been in contact with that guy for 5 years. I
Yeah.
met with him 5
Yep.
years ago and he wasn't ready to sell, but I could tell like he was interested, so I've just been in touch with him the last 5 years.
Yeah.
That
So-
was big.
Yeah, how much is that one?
12 million.
Okay, so 5 years, you guys, it took to actually cultivate a $12 million property, right? And so if anybody so Ashley is a residential agent, Jelaine is residential, and Royce is commercial, in case you guys are not, if this is your first time. But it was, you never forgot about this particular person. They were either on a drip campaign, they were in your normal calls, and at some point in time, you knew that they were going to sell. And I think that goes to show anyone right now, at some point, a homeowner is going to sell. It could be 5 years from now, it could be 10 years from now, it could be 15 years from now, it could be 30 years from now, for all we know, right? But I think a lot of people are like, oh, the lead's bad. Oh, this is bad. Oh, they're not ready yet. They're not ready right now, right? But they could be ready. And I hope that some of us are thinking long-term in regards to what are we doing with our business? Are we going to hand it to someone and have it, pay us in some way? So if it's 20 years down the road and you're not even going to be in the business, there's a referral set up for you already, right? I think it's a great example of just being consistent with, okay, I'm going to put them in here and I'm going to keep following up. Awesome. All right. Anything else on the book portion of it? All right. We are going to go through financials of the office. So, kind of month over month, we've been talking about productivity of the agents, productivity of the office, profit, and then growth of agents. So last month, when we're talking about April, we had 36% of our agents in productivity, right? So 36% were productive. This has increased from 33%. However, I would still say we are way behind on the 8 ball for productive agents, meaning that, again, there's going to be 64% of the agents that are not currently producing last month. 22% of those were the number of agents, and 22% of agents are taking listings. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about where is kind of the nugget right now, and it's in listings. And it's really the 80-20 rule in this office for who's taking listings and who's not, right? I know that we can break through that at some point, and I think when we looked at numbers last week, we started seeing more and more individual agents taking more listings, kind of across the board, which is really nice to see. So total GCI was a little shy of 1.1 million. Company dollar was at 28.6. And then we go down to profit share and we were at 330, which is obviously a little bit different than last year. However, it is in the positive, which is really good. Yesterday, I just want to talk about agent count and growth and kind of vision of the office. As we know, I don't know if everybody knows this, but we have now grown to a group of 5 offices. So it's now Otsego, Edina, Minneapolis Lakes, us, and Eden Prairie. So we are now 851, I believe, agents in total as a group. And a little over 3 billion, wasn't it, Heather? I should have had these numbers in front of me. 3 billion in sales last year with those 851 agents. Those are incredibly remarkable numbers. Just to talk about as we are going on listing appointments or anything else, when you're like, I don't know what to share, or, you know, this company's bigger because it's CB or it's Edina or it's Sotheby's or whatever it is, I guarantee that their numbers do not compare to that at all. And like our 5 offices actually function very much like one, right? I mean, in regards to how we're networking with people, what our trainings are. We're going to share those numbers with you guys so that you can share those and clients can see what kind of power is behind you as a listing agent, as a buying agent, because it's pretty remarkable. For us as an office, I am really, really proud of the leadership team. Last year, we were at 29 gross agents total for the year, right? So there was some turning of ships last year and just kind of some different things happening with me being new to this role. And this year, so far, a number that's, to me, I think we talked about this morning, is that we actually have net, which by the way, we were also not net positive last year, and we've net 13 agents already this year. So we have net half of what we've actually grossed last year, and it's not even like a half of the year yet. So when we talk about where this market center is going, I am very determined to be at 190 by the end of the year. So very determined actually. And we're at what, 145 right now as of today, when the last person who got their license came in yesterday.
We would be at exactly, yeah, 145.
So we're at 145. So that's another net 45 agents. And I have no doubt in my mind that we can do that. I'm going to ask for your help though. I think we're doing some really great things in this business. I think that there's some really great culture here. And at any point that you come across an agent that you think would fit well, I would love an introduction to. I don't ask for that often. And it changes how we are as an office when we grow in that manner, right? And I don't want just any agent. I want agents that you'd actually want to be in business with, because it's not like just get them in to get them in. It's let's get people that are going to help us grow personally and professionally, because they're doing big things too. Is that fair? Awesome. All right, let's move on to your guys' numbers in regards to where you're at this year. Who wants to start?
Right. So I was looking, or let me preface this with, I feel like every year around this time or like in the spring, I get a little bit of like, and so I'm like, oh no, we're gonna reach my goals this year. So I had to like think about it logically and just look back and see, you know, well, where was I at? Quarter, but like, May, whatever today is, May 15th. Where have I been at? So anyway, I just thought it was really interesting because in 2020, I was at 14 sold and pending. Last year, I was at 11 sold and pending. And this year, I'm at 14. So each year, you know, I'm kind of like tracking about the same, which is great. And, you know, I did have a higher goal this year, but it just gives me perspective to understand that, like, okay, you know, I've been consistent with what I'm doing. I know when my like slow times are. Don't need to panic because it does feel slow right now. I don't know for everybody else, but for me, it feels a little bit slower than it normally does. But
well, it allows you to plan and it allows you to shift your strategy too, right? So if you're behind, what do we have to do? You have to set more appointments to essentially.
yeah. So all that to say, you know, it's like, okay, I know what works for me. I just have to just continue to do those things. And I'm, you know, still on track, maybe slightly behind, but still on track. But anyway, in April, I met my goal by about 50%. So, you know, my goal was for 7 closings, which is normally like a really great April. And, you know, and I've been able to do those kinds of numbers before, and it's 3 closings. So,
How are appointments in April?
I didn't put them in on here. I do have them somewhere else, but I think I've had enough appointments and signing enough like representation agreements. It's just been a little bit tricky with, you know, some people wanting to hold back or go in a different direction, you know, a lot of like shifting, I think. Some of those people I think will come back around at some point this year, some of them won't. So just been a different.
And what's your buyer seller makeup? I mean, is it because you're buyer heavy?
Yeah, and I've always been buyer heavy. I am doing a few things to focus more on sellers, and trying to gear, you know, marketing efforts toward that. Trying some new things with circle prospecting this year. But anyway, yeah, I think last year, I think I was at like 5% buyers.
Okay. Price.
So far this year, I've had 9 closings, or nine total deals. A lot of those have been lease deals, which are on the smaller side. So my total GCI so far is 83,605. With expenses, I don't have it in front of me, but my expenses annually are about 30,000 a year. We're about halfway through the year, so 15,000. I'm probably somewhere around 70,000, and then you take the 16.5 from that. I'm probably close to like 50,000 net. If you take the cap and all my expenses out. I've got a good amount in the pipeline. I've got about 8.5 million under contract right now, so it should be a good Q2, Q3. And I've got some good listings in the works as well, so should be a good year.
So what are both of you doing if you're, you know, not really catching up, but as you're tracking, you're saying I'm a little bit behind. What are you going to shift going into the second part of the year?
I'm gonna, yeah, as soon as I have a little bit of I did 4 transactions here in the last 2 weeks, so I do need to get back again, because I know once all these listings sell, or the ones that are under contract sell, it's gonna become dry again. I'm gonna have to get more stuff in the pipeline, so I'm gonna have to get after that here in the coming months.
Okay.
I'm being more intentional about coming to the office. Just get more done when I come here versus trying to work out. I can still work at home, but it feels more like free time versus. So anyway, trying to come to the office more so that I'm focusing on lead generation and doing a lot of follow-up with people that I've talked to in the last 2 years. You know, just saying, like, you might be really surprised at how much home values have gone up between 2020 and now, or, you know, just trying to have as many of those conversations.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm gonna go quick, because I don't know how long I can talk. So I liked Ashley's analogy or her looking back at the last couple of years and finding out where she is compared to there, because last year was a great year for me. This year has been slow for Q1, and I'm kind of in that panic mode, or I have been. But looking at 2020 and then 2021, I'm actually ahead of where I was at in 2020, and 2020 was a pretty decent year. So that makes me feel good about things. May turned around a little bit. I've got 4 closings this month versus the few that I've had for Q1. So I think changing my lead generation, I started hammering the phones again. And although I haven't been able to this week because I can't talk for very long, but just making sure I'm circle prospecting and actively lead generating to get that business back and getting back on track. I haven't changed my goals for 2022 yet, but I realistically at this point, unless something drastically changes, I don't think I'm going to hit what I planned to hit.
Okay. So part of what I heard on that piece is that feeling and actual numbers tell a very different story,
That's
right? And I think it's important to know that as we're in a market, and we have been for quite a few years, of like this feeling of busy or this feeling of not busy, or I feel. I mean, I'm not really a feelings person anyways, but that being said, when you look at the numbers, it makes that either that feeling, it validates it or it doesn't, right? And then you can do something and move forward with some sort of activity or action to strategize differently. If you didn't have these numbers, you wouldn't know where to go from there or what's actually happening. I find it interesting that you're ahead of 2020, but yet it still feels though you're slower or you've not done as much. And is that because of units, or is that because volume is up? Because that's the other piece, is which one is driving that?
It's definitely units are down
Okay.
compared to what it was in 2020 or 2021. I was at 14 or 15 closings by the end of April
Okay,
last year, and I'm not even close to that this year. So
okay. All right. Anything else you guys want to add about kind of moving forward into, we've got about a month and a half left in quarter two, of any changes or things that you've seen, even from quarter one to quarter two? I would say, as we're talking about things like mega camp, things like business planning, this isn't the first year that we've had slow first quarters and just started picking up into that second quarter. I would ask the question, what's going to change this year in quarter three and quarter four, to make sure that we're not feeling the same thing a year from now? Right? Like what is that change going to be? Because I think it puts a lot of pressure on you as business owners, right? Where it's like, ooh, and tax season's around the corner, and then all of a sudden summer comes and people are gone, and depending on where the market's going to go, is that something that is a concern to you as well? Like, okay, what does the next 6 months look like? What are you guys feeling on that?
I think with interest rates going up, at least on the investment side, it's gonna slow transactions down. I think there'll be a lot of transactions here in the next quarter or two, but interest rates going up, I think that's gonna slow things down.
Well, I'm curious on that part for you as commercial, right? Do you find that more and more sellers are reaching back out to you right now as they're like, interest rates are going up and they were going to wait to ride that wave? Are they ready to list now?
Yeah, I'd say
Okay.
like the values from like a cap rate perspective are as high as they're gonna be for a while.
Okay.
Investors are gonna still expect the same type of returns, and if your cost of money goes up, they're not gonna be able to achieve that. So the price is gonna have to come down in order for them to hit that same return. So I think prices are gonna have to come down, and I think it's gonna slow transaction.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just recently this weekend had a conversation with a couple that are first time home buyers, and they've seen homes, they got excited about one, they're ready to write an offer. I go home, write the offer, send it for signature, and then hours go by, no signatures, and then you're like, okay, something's going on, right? And
Yep.
then like, hey guys, just checking in, I thought you wanted to get your offer in tonight. Help with. They're like, we're gonna review our finances.
Yeah.
Kind of a red flag, right? You know what's gonna happen when they're getting cold feet. So anyway, they did that. I let them sleep on it. And then the next day, I said, I want to circle back around, because the interest rate that they got was 5.75, which is, higher than what we've been seeing for quite a while. But at the same time, I just said, it's possible that's the best rate you might get in the next years, Is it really?
Or longer, like who knows if it's gonna just like,
And is it important to you to be putting your money toward a mortgage and building equity, or throwing it away for rent? Putting it toward rent. And have you talked closely with your lender about what that payment looks like, et cetera, et cetera? We could ask for, in this situation, we could ask for extra closing costs. Can you use that money to buy down your rate? Well, like, how can we make this work for you? And at the end of the day, they were like, oh, wow, really, like, if the interest rate was higher, we just wouldn't even be interested. It's like, okay, well, let's advantage of this best opportunity that you might have. And if the interest rates do go down, and in the future, you always have the opportunity to see if you qualify to refinance. There are those options too. So anyway, all that to say is just like, these are conversations we haven't had for a couple of years now. So it's just like an interesting.
Well, I think it's prepping for what's to come, right? Twofold, prepping with your buyers on what's to come and prepping with your sellers on what's to come, right? I mean, sellers were freaking out if the house wasn't sold in 48 hours, right? I remember when I was in the business and it wasn't sold for 180 days, and it was like the same conversation over and over, and how much more value can you bring? I saw it, I think last week, and it said, someone posted on some sort of social media, and it was like, you're buying a house, no matter what, no matter where you're living, you are buying a house. Who are you buying it for?
Right.
Are you buying it for your landlord, or are you buying it for you? Right? Because that is the most honest thing that you could tell any buyer that's currently renting. I mean, I have rentals, but it's true, right? Like, you are buying the house, but you're buying it for the landlord. So which one would you rather have? And if you have the capability to buy it for yourself, why wouldn't you choose that? All right, anything else to add on going into kind of wrapping up the first part of the year? All right, in regards to committees, we haven't had committees on the ALC this year. So there's a few different things that are happening. Obviously, education is getting centralized, so there's not anything happening in regards to a committee for career development. Recently, we just got a commitment to do Tuesdays at 8:30. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yep.
We are going to be adding to the repertoire of scripting, and you are going to have Dana Murray at 8:30 every single Tuesday that we're going to be sending out a Zoom link for scripting. So every single week, so many people have asked for scripting, and now we have someone that is committed to that day, that time, and it is a hard stop at 9 o'clock. We have had other people that have volunteered to do scripting, and people have not shown up. So that being said, we are going to try this again. It is open to the entire office. We are also opening it up potentially to other offices, since it is a Zoom link. But there is a lot to learn on that. So when you come to it, she will do some scripting for a slight amount of time, and then you as participants will be asked to script as well, which is going to allow you to work on your own skill sets. In regards to what would have been the cultural committee, we are starting up the barbecues again in June. So June 1st is the first one.
And I'll get a sign-up sheet at the front desk today, because I know commercials looking to pick a day. Some of our bigger teams hope they're, yep. So we'll make sure we get a sign-up sheet at the front desk today.
And that's going to be right after the team meetings on Wednesdays, every other week. We are in the process. I'm in the process of ordering a grill. It is called a Blackstone, something. What's it called? Blackstone grill of some sort. So not only can it be used for that, I'm kind of excited. Like, what if we wanted to do a brunch at some point, or pancakes, or whatever else? Would be kind of fun, because it'll be here and it'll be available. So also, if you ever wanted to use it in this area, it would be open for that. Anything else you guys want to talk about as the ALC? Otherwise, we can close that portion out. Jelena's like, I can't talk, so I'm good. All right, do I hear a motion to end the April ALC? And a second? Awesome. So we have about 12 minutes. We're going to go through wants and needs, but I would also like to hear anything you guys want to talk about that's going on in the market right now, or that you guys want to talk about amongst yourselves. Zoom, you're included on this. So whether or not it's, what buyers are doing right now, what multiples are doing, or what we're seeing, what's something you guys want to discuss for the next about 10 minutes. Business is awesome. There's no hiccups. You guys are good.
Ashley, did your people write on that?
Is that what I'm hearing?
They haven't yet.
Hey, I am. This is Terry. Is
Yeah.
Terry again. I loved what Ashley, what you brought up with your clients that were going, wait, whoa, huh? Because I'm getting that too with my buyers who have homes to sell. And so it's that domino icky reverse domino effect. So we want to get it moving forward. So I would love to hear more on the scripting and that kind of thing of people who are going, oh my gosh, this is, yeah, we just need to wait till things settle down. What's your reaction to that?
Awesome. I could be the buyer if someone wants to do the script for that. Hey, Rick, you're great at scripts. Do you want to do that?
Sure, what am I?
Sure.
You're the buyer's agent. I just call you out because you're good at it. Is that okay? You're the buyer's agent and I'm getting cold feet because I'm not sure if I want to spend that much on a mortgage.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just wrote an offer, Rick, and I just didn't sign it because I don't know, it's a lot of money and I'm kind of, I don't know if we want to spend that.
Okay, well, this is something that we talked about before. This is your, you guys, one of the first things we did, had to meet with the loan officer and talk to the loan officer about what your comfort level was price wise. And
Yeah.
so we still are well under your maximum price point. That was something that you guys recommended that we talked about doing is, if you were qualified at 500,000, we're not looking at 500,000, we're looking at 450. So this should be in your comfort zone. So tell me about how you feel about that right now, because we are still under that.
Yeah, so I mean, I just got locked in at 5.75 and that, when we got into the market, it was much lower than that. So that kind of takes a hit each month that I'm not sure we feel comfortable on doing right now.
One of the things to consider is what the alternative options are, which that the rental market right now is the rents are the highest they've been in years. So you would be paying a premium there too if you switch and you decide to go back to renting. And we did talk about how all of that money basically is just wasted. You spend the money on the rent and then it vanishes. It's not towards an investment, which is what this would be. This would be towards your house investment. We
Let's
don't.
break script right there. Would this be a really great opportunity for anyone that has a buyer that's renting to figure out what their rent is and see how much money they're actually throwing away? Like, hey, I have a $2,000 rental payment and I'm doing this for 12 months. You just threw away $24,000.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think, again, when we go back to a feeling versus numbers, like maybe just adding that to it to remind me what you're paying for rent per month.
I know you're talking a lot as my buyer, but I'm the one who's supposed to be
That was
advising you. so-
scripted.
I'm just kidding.
Back in.
So the other expectation that we have, is we can't predict the future, but what the market is telling us right now is that we do not expect that these home prices are going to go down. They may slow down, they may flatten for a period of time, but if we stay on track like we have for the past over 40 years, then you should expect that if you're staying in your house for 5 to 10 years, you should probably expect somewhere around a 4% increase in value. That's advantageous. That's part of your investment, right? The other thing, which is probably most important, is you guys started conservatively talking to the loan officer about a 30-year fixed conventional mortgage. Now, what our lender has done, and I'll keep them out of it, but what our lender has done is come up with some very, very nice new programs that are 5 and 7 year ARMs. Now, that's something I strongly encourage you to talk to the lender about because your interest rate will be lower. The probability of these interest rates going up and down in the next 5 years is 100% probable. They will go up and down. So it's like playing the stock market. At some point, we have to expect that the interest rates might dip down, and at that point, you can refinance within the 5 to 7 years.
How quickly though? I mean, let's just how quickly does that shift? So I mean, great, if it goes down,
Well, that's a great question. In February, our interest rates were at 3.25, and 2 months later, they're at 5.25. So that was a 2 month shift, 2.5 months.
yeah, I
shift.
guess
So
I didn't think
it's not
about
to say that it wouldn't go back down again at some point. That is history. History has shown us that the interest rates go up and down. It's a little bit of a gamble for you, but you're locked in at a lower rate for a minimum of 5 years or a minimum of 7 years. And then you have an option. So talk to the lender about the specific details. because that could be a great option for you guys. So, and if you don't end up refinancing, then I'll just sell your house. Change your mind in 5 years.
I like that. Terry, was that good?
That helped a lot. It really did. My particular, oh shoot, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Sorry, I don't know, it's sketchy. I don't know why. But my particular buyers are, wanting to relocate not too far away from where they're at, but they're, I think what you were talking about, Rick, with the ARM loan, and so I need to get, it sounds like I really need to have a good meeting with one of my lenders that I know, trust, and use to learn more of the options. I think that would be phenomenal. So that helps a lot, though.
Awesome. All right, so we've got about 5 minutes. Let's do wants and needs. Who has buyers or new listings that are coming on that you guys want to share with each other? You guys are really making my job difficult today. If not, if there's no buyers or no new listings, I want to see you here tomorrow at 9 until 4. All right.
Betty has 3 new buyers. There's
Yeah.
All right,
something.
Maddie, let's hear it.
Buyers.
So one for sure in like the Shakopee surrounding areas, and I'm still waiting to hear back on, like what price point she's looking at, but I'm thinking, under 300 is her preference. Preferably townhome or single family. And then I have another one that's between like River Grove, West St. Paul, South St. Paul, Egan, Bloomington. I think even St. Louis Park, a few of those areas, 240 or under is what she's looking at right now, single family. And then if there's any multifamilies under 350 is what she's interested in as well. And then one other buyer, he's kind of all over, so I might have to email Lydia.
Okay.
Certain areas and then the price points for that. But
Okay, awesome. What else? Paige?
We signed a listing that is currently off market in Coon Rapids, and 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It is. It does need some updating. It won't. It's being sold by the trustees, and but it won't officially become active until after 4th of July. But if anybody is interested in a property that could be fixed up a little bit and have quick equity, I'm looking at about 280 off market.
I think it was back. Her modeler's dream. That's how she called one of them. I like that. Maybe that's. Anybody else?
Richie, I need to talk to you. This is Terry, and we need to talk. I got a buyer.
That's Terry. Anybody else have any listings or buyers that are coming
Where
up?
was that one?
Coon Rapids.
All right, I will let you guys.
Yeah.
Email Lydia. Yep, email Lydia with that, and she'll have those out by later this afternoon. And then I will see you tomorrow morning for lead gen. Otherwise, have a great day.